Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandna.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and on the show today, US test fired its nuclear-capable doomsday ballistic missile, and this is days after Trump vowed to restart nuclear weapons testing. Russian President Putin has also ordered his top official to draft proposals for a test of nuclear weapons. So, while nuclear weapons tests resume undermining decades of non-proliferation efforts, we'll have to find out. We're going to get you all the details on the show today. Stay tuned.
Also on World DNA, the Bihar election battle has kicked off on ground with 121 constituencies out of 243 spread across 18 districts voting in the first phase, that is today. Polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll bring you the latest on that. Let's start with the headlines.
Voting begins in 121 constituencies in Phase 1 of Bihar Assembly elections. Over 3.75 crore voters will decide the fate of 1,314 candidates in this phase, which features key contenders such as Mahagathbandhan Chief Ministerial Candidate Tejasvi Yadav, Deputy Chief Minister Samrat Chaudhary and Vijay Kumar Sinha.
Israel confirms receiving the body of hostage from the Red Cross in Gaza in the latest handover to take place under a US brokered ceasefire.
US threatens to oppose the renewal of a UN peacekeeping mission to Abyei, a disputed region between war-torn Sudan and South Sudan, unless both sides uphold the 2011 peace deal.
US fires the Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile days after President Donald Trump urged the military to restart nuclear weapons testing for the first time in over 30 years. Department of War confirms the development, talks about peace through strength.
New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani says he is ready to engage with his arch-critic, President Donald Trump, on the issue of cost of living. Jokes at a briefing that the White House hasn't reached out to congratulate him.
Death toll from the cargo plane crash in Kentucky rises to 11, with investigators saying the accident was caused by one of the engines catching fire and detaching during takeoff.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum calls for sexual harassment to be made a crime nationwide after being groped on the street.
Supreme Court is grilling whether Trump even had legal authority to slap those broad global tariffs, a potential landmark limit on presidential power. Prediction markets are reacting hard. Kalshi now prices over 25% chance that Trump wins.
US shutdown is now the longest in history, and Trump is blaming what he calls kamikaze Democrats. Federal agencies are seizing up. Millions risk losing food assistance, and aviation officials warn a 10% flight capacity cut at 40 busy airspace zones starting Friday.
Amanda Anisimova stuns world number 2 Iga Swiatek in 3 sets at the WTA finals. The two-time Grand Slam finalist now joins the undefeated Elena Rybakina in the knockout stage in Riyadh. And shortly after the US test fired an intercontinental ballistic missile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his top officials to prepare for possible nuclear tests.
Now, on Wednesday, the US Air Force launched the Minuteman III continental ballistic missile from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, part of America's so-called nuclear triad. The missile can be launched from land-based silos, submarines or bombers and serves as one leg of the US nuclear deterrent. According to officials, the unarmed missile traveled thousands of miles before landing near the Army's Ronald Reagan Ballistic Missile Defense Test Site in the Marshall Islands. They described the test as successful and routine.
Now, this comes less than a week after President Trump directed the Pentagon to start testing nuclear weapons on an equal basis with Russia and China, quote unquote. Following the test firing of this missile, Putin convened a meeting of Russia's Security Council, saying his government would also consider resuming nuclear tests if the US does so.
Russia has always strictly adhered to its obligations under Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and we have no plans to withdraw from them. At the same time, as I stated in my address to the Federal Assembly in 2023, should the United States or other treaty signatories conduct such tests, Russia would be compelled to take appropriate reciprocal measures.
Well, Putin has ordered his defense and foreign ministers to gather information and draft proposals for the possible test preparations, potentially at the Arctic test site of Novaya Zemlya. Russia has not conducted a nuclear test since 1990, the final year of the Soviet Union.
I am instructing the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Defense, the Special Services, and the relevant civilian agencies to do everything necessary to collect additional information on this issue, analyze it within the framework of the Security Council, and make agreed proposals on the possible start of work on the preparations for nuclear weapons testing.
During the meeting, Secretary of the Security Council Sergei Shoigu said that the US is planning underground nuclear tests, while Defense Minister Andrei Belousov told Putin that US stance made it advisable to prepare for full-scale nuclear tests immediately, quote unquote.
Now, for more on this, we're being joined live by Peter Kuznick from Washington. He's a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at the American University. Thank you so much, Professor Kuznick, for joining us on the broadcast.
Glad to be with you.
Professor, we know that the US has just test launched what's being described as the Doomsday Ballistic Missile, and this is just days after President Donald Trump had vowed to restart nuclear testing, and this is after a 30-year pause, we know. Now, what message is Washington trying to send here?
This is a long-planned nuclear test. It's not a nuclear test, it's a missile test. Under the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, all sides are allowed to test delivery systems. This is a test of a delivery system. It is not a nuclear weapons test. What Trump threatened recently was that the U.S. would begin nuclear weapons tests. But Secretary of Energy Chris Wright walked that back and said, we're not talking about nuclear weapons tests. Trump made a series of false statements when he announced that. So nobody knows what he's really talking about. And the assumption is that Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He said the U.S. has the biggest arsenal. The U.S. doesn't have the biggest nuclear arsenal. He said that the U.S. would be conducting the same nuclear tests that China and India are conducting. Well, those are not nuclear weapons tests. I mean, the level of ignorance there is a little frightening, given the fact that this man has access to the nuclear codes and has the power to end life on the planet. You would rather see, you don't want to see anybody having that much power, but you'd much rather see it in the hands of somebody who's stable, rational, not impulsive, and not easily triggered.
Professor Kuznick, let me just first of all clarify that Trump mentioned Pakistan's name. He said China, Pakistan, North Korea and Russia were carrying out these nuclear tests in secret. He didn't mention India there. But the fact is that Trump is saying that he wants to carry out nuclear tests on an equal basis, just like China and Russia. Russia is saying that if US does it, we're going to do it too. They're both kind of saying the same thing, pointing at each other. Are we looking at a chicken and egg story when it comes to nuclear tests? Is that where we are, undermining decades of non-proliferation?
Well, again, what Trump says makes no sense. Russia has not tested a nuclear weapon since 1990. China has not tested a nuclear weapon since 1996. India tested in 1998. The only country that's tested in the 21st century is North Korea in 2017. But Putin has always made clear that if the United States begins nuclear testing again of nuclear weapons, then Russia will be forced to follow suit. And at that Russia Security Council meeting today, Secretary of Defense Belousov and General Gerasimov brought up that Russia should begin preparing for tests in case the United States begins testing also. And Putin agreed with the necessity to do so. But again, Trump said we're going to begin testing immediately. He, again, doesn't know what he's talking about. It would probably take 2 years if the United States works at breakneck pace to get the nuclear test site in Nevada ready to begin testing again. So there's no country is ready to test immediately. The quickest would probably be North Korea. The United States does not need to test it. The United States, through its stockpile stewardship program, through using supercomputers, lasers, X-rays, knows exactly how its nuclear weapons will respond. The countries that will benefit the most are countries like China. During the Cold War, the U.S. conducted 1,047 nuclear tests, 1,047. China conducted under 50 nuclear weapons tests. India has in total conducted only 3. So it's the countries that didn't do enormous amounts of testing, like the United States did, that would gain the best advantage. So this is not even in the United States' interest. Plus, it would probably trigger nuclear proliferation. Several countries already are on the verge of beginning a nuclear weapons program and would want to start testing as well. 72% of the public in South Korea has said they want South Korea to have its own nuclear weapons. Zelensky says he wants Ukraine to have nuclear weapons. This, again, is madness. So Trump, if he begins this nuclear anarchy, then we're all in very, very deep trouble.
Nuclear anarchy, as you mentioned. And Professor Kuznick, thanks so much for joining us here. You shed a lot of light on what has happened in the last 30 years. And as far as any test is concerned, what it would mean for US and perhaps other countries who also have their own nuclear arsenal. Thanks so much for joining us here on World DNA. There will be more to discuss as it's Trump and the comments keep coming in. Would love to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
Now, in Britain, civilians are preparing for war, or at least told to in the next few years.
Well, the UK government's 2025 national security strategy warns of rising threats from countries like Russia and Iran and the need to prepare for a potential wartime scenario on home soil.
This as Russia's increasingly audacious incursions into Eastern Europe risk triggering an all-out conflict in Europe, engaging NATO. Russia's war in Ukraine has set an example for the Britons to better be safe than sorry when it comes to preparedness, both militarily and across the society, as they fear it may not be too far for the war to spread to countries supporting Ukraine in a conflict spanning nearly 4 years now. While there is no official national plan for civilian wartime preparation yet, experts suggest the public may need to be equipped and trained to fight should war knock at their doors anytime soon.
Now, not just war, Britons are bracing themselves for disaster and emergencies as well. Amid the growing uncertainty there, of course, the ordinary citizens are learning survival skills, amply stocking up food and essential items, buying emergency gear, and aiding others in the preparations.
Be it losing a job, facing a natural calamity, a terrorist attack, or even AI-powered cyber attacks, add potential government surveillance on individual freedoms and big tech dominance to that mix, and it makes for a perfect recipe for disaster, according to citizens.
But if you're in a city, or anywhere really, I always say to people, look, think of a scenario, a disaster, whether it's a fire, a flood, a terrorist attack, right? Power goes off, whatever it is. How best can you operate in that situation? You know, what things have you got on you can still function, you know, as normal as possible? They're going to know certain information that we don't. It's them people. So if they are building bunkers in the middle of nowhere, or Bill Gates is buying up farmland, you know, what do you need to survive? Water and food, basically, and shelter. So when you get billionaires buying farms, growing their own food, you know, building bunkers, you think, well, what do they know that we don't? Now, it could be just that they've got so much money they don't know what to do with, right? But I would look into it a little bit, yeah.
However, Americans in particular are no stranger to such preparations. Researchers report that in the US, the number of preppers has doubled since 2017, reaching around 20 million. And in Britain too, the momentum is fast building up, with social media groups offering basic and advanced survival skills gaining more and more subscribers. And tensions between US and Venezuela are refusing to die down.
US President Donald Trump is weighing his options, planning to hit Venezuela where it would hurt its supply chain and possibly aim to fracture the network, what Trump administration calls narco-terrorists.
Well, Washington, D.C. has developed a range of options for military action in Venezuela, including direct attacks on military units that protect President Nicolas Maduro and moves to seize control of the country's oil fields.
President Trump has yet to make a decision about how or even whether to proceed. According to the New York Times, Trump's aides have asked the Justice Department for additional guidance that could provide a legal basis for any military action beyond the current campaign of striking boats. Such a memo would include targeting Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro without creating the need for congressional authorization for the use of military force. The Justice Department has not given any confirmation about this development. In a recent interview, when Trump was asked whether Maduro's days as president were numbered, Trump responded saying an affirmative yes.
Well, there has been a steady buildup of US troops in the Caribbean since late August. The Pentagon has also dispatched B-52 and B-1 bombers from bases in Louisiana and Texas to fly missions off the coast of Venezuela. If given options for its military campaign, the first option might involve airstrikes against military facilities. So if Maduro believed that he was no longer protected, he might seek to flee or in moving around the country.
A second approach envisions the United States sending special operations forces such as the Army's Delta Force or the Navy's SEAL Team 6 to try to capture Maduro. US already has $50 million worth $50 million reward for Maduro's arrest. And then there is a third option which involves a much more complicated plan to send US counter-terrorism forces to seize control of airfields and at least some of Venezuela's oil fields and infrastructure. These last two options carry much greater risks to American commandos on the ground and pose an even greater threat to Venezuelan citizens. And this being the reason why Trump has not given approval to carry a military operation in the South American country yet.
Now, while Trump weighs in options, neighboring countries like Brazil are urging de-escalation and dialogue between Caracas and Washington.
Então nós vamos tentar na CELAC discutir essa questão da Venezuela, discutir essa questão da participação das Forças Armadas americanas nos mares do Caribe.
In Tel Aviv, a police escorted convoy brought in what are believed to be the remains of another hostage.
Well, officers lined the route standing in silent salute. Israel's military has confirmed that Hamas handed over the remains to the Red Cross in Gaza, the latest transferred under the US brokered ceasefire. The remains are now undergoing forensic testing, and if confirmed, 6 hostages would still be unaccounted for inside Gaza. This latest handover follows earlier returns of 21 hostages' remains since the truce took effect on October 10th. The discovery came after research operations in Gaza City's Chijaya neighborhood, where teams continued to sift through the wreckage.
Red Cross workers and Hamas militants were seen combing the area for bodies of remaining hostages. A bulldozer bearing the Egyptian flag joined the effort with members of Hamas Qassam brigades standing guard. Egypt had previously sent in experts and heavy machinery to assist in the search.
In southern Gaza, Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis reported receiving the bodies of 15 Palestinian prisoners. The 10th group returned under the same US-mediated exchange deal. Hospital officials said that brings the total number of Palestinian bodies which were repatriated to 285. The latest exchange followed the return of Israeli-American soldier Itay Shen's body earlier this week.
Elsewhere, Palestinians have laid to rest 24 bodies at Deir al-Balah cemetery after being handed over by Israel. In a related development, the United States at the United Nations has circulated a draft resolution proposing an international stabilization force in Gaza, a mission that could last at least 2 years. Washington says several Arab and other countries have shown interest in joining, but only if the plan carries a clear UN mandate.
And French government has said it would suspend the Shein digital platform until the Asian e-commerce giant complied with French legislation, as controversies swirled around the company's fast fashion business model and the sale of childlike sex dolls online.
Well, the announcement comes as Shein opened its first store in Paris amid heavy police presence and fierce criticism of its low-cost business model. Parisian authorities deployed riot police for the unveiling of Shein's first ever permanent store in the French capital.
Well, ahead of the opening, people queued outside the luxury department store where Shein was launching. Meanwhile, child rights activists held a protest nearby. The demonstrators held signs with slogans including "Shame on Shein."
Yes, we ask for BHV to stop this partnership with Shein, first of all, and then to consider that having trademarks coming from France or from Europe that have a real quality value, that really work with good quality clothes, tissues, things like that, can also have a space for trade here in France.
The launch of Shein, which has long drawn criticism over its poor green credentials and labour practices in the heart of France's fashion capital, has triggered a backlash from environmental groups and France's ready-to-wear industry. The retailer is also under fire after French authorities last week found sex dolls with childlike features listed on the retailer's website. The deputy mayor of Paris has denounced the opening of the Shein store, calling it an insult to Paris.
Non seulement il casse effectivement le petit commerce et notamment le petit commerce de proximité qui contribue à la vitalité commerciale de nos quartiers, mais en plus il y a cette provocation ultime de permettre la présence physique de cette plateforme en plein cœur de Paris. C'est une insulte qui nous est faite et effectivement nous...
The case has been referred to prosecutors and the government has warned that the global e-commerce platform could be barred from the French market if such content reappears. In response, Shein said it has banned all sex doll products and temporarily removed its adult product category for review. The company has also launched an investigation to determine how the listings bypassed its screening measures. And with that, it's time for a short break on World DNA.
Don't go anywhere. This is World DNA. We will be back on the other side. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has termed the country's army chief Asim Munir as the most oppressive dictator in the country's history. The statement comes as the government prepares to table the controversial constitutional amendment number 27. We'll bring you all the details on that and a lot more lined up for you on the other side of a short break. Come right back.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building, coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building, coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Diksha and I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss. Let's start with the headlines.
As Bihar holds the first phase of assembly elections, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi appeals to the people of the state to participate in what he calls the festival of democracy and exercise their voting rights with full enthusiasm.
Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan takes a dig at Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir, says the country under the rule of Asim Munir, most tyrannical dictator in history. Goes on to call him mentally unstable.
Belgian minister describes drone disruptions at various airports over the weekend as intentionally disruptive. Says the flying objects were operated through 4G and 5G cell phone networks that are difficult to detect.
US fires the Minuteman 3 intercontinental ballistic missile days after President Donald Trump urged the military to restart nuclear weapons testing for the first time in over 30 years. Department of War confirms the development, talks about peace through strength.
Supreme Court is grilling whether Trump even had legal authority to slap those broad global tariffs, a potential landmark limit on presidential power. Prediction market are reacting hard. Kalshi now prices over 25% chance that Trump wins.
The US shutdown is now the longest in history and Trump is blaming what he calls kamikaze Democrats. Federal agencies are seizing up millions, risk losing food assistance, and aviation officials warn a 10% flight capacity cut at 40 busy airspace zones starting Friday.
Death toll from cargo plane crash in Kentucky rises to 11, with investigators saying the accident was caused by one of the engines catching fire and detaching during takeoff.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum calls for sexual harassment to be made a crime nationwide after being groped on the street.
Manchester City thrashed Borussia Dortmund 4-1 in the Champions League. Phil Foden scores twice and Erling Haaland nets against his former club to seal the win.
Into Foden, lovely quick fit from Foden. And another such a good run here and a fabulous finish. And that will take care of business.
But they have shipped in 4 tonight goals from Phil Foden.
The first phase of Bihar's election is taking place today, with 121 out of the 243 constituencies going to the polls.
Over 3.75 crore voters will decide the electoral fate of 1,314 candidates. Jan Suraj has fielded 119 candidates in this phase. Within National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, Janata Dal United JDU is contesting 57 seats, followed by Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP on 48, and Lok Janshakti Party, the LJP, Ramvilas on 14. Now, among the Mahagathbandhan constituents, Rashtriya Janata Dal, the RJD, is contesting 73 seats in the first phase, followed by 24 from Congress and 14 from CPI-ML. There will be friendly fights on a few seats among the Mahagathbandhan constituents as well.
Well, several top guns are in fray in the first phase. Tejasvi Yadav, who is Mahagathbandhan's chief ministerial candidate, is contesting from Raghupur. He has held the seat since 2015 and faces a tough challenge from BJP's Satish Kumar Yadav, who lost in 2020 assembly elections. Now, Tejasvi's estranged elder brother, Tej Pratap Yadav, who floated a new party, Jan Shakti Janata Dal, is in the fray from Mahua constituency.
Tarapur seat in Munger district is witnessing a contest between Deputy Chief Minister BJP's Samrat Chaudhary and RJD's Arun Kumar and Jan Suraj's Santosh Kumar Singh. The seat was won by the JDU candidates in 2010 and 2015 polls, and Deputy Chief Minister Vijay Kumar Sinha is contesting from the Lakhisarai seat. He is facing Congress Amresh Kumar and Jan Suraj's Suraj Kumar. Polling will conclude at 6 p.m. today, and due to security considerations, polling time has been curtailed to 5 p.m. in specific constituencies.
The Election Commission on Tuesday flagged off International Election Visitors Program 2025, and participants will witness polling in the first phase of Bihar polls. The IEVP is a flagship program of the ECI for international cooperation and engagement with the election management bodies, EMBs of other countries and international organizations.
Now, the second phase will be held on the 11th of November. It's a two-phase election, and the results will be announced on the 14th of November. The central themes of this electoral battle are as pressing as they are complex: unemployment, out-migration, corruption, and the decline of education and healthcare, which dominate the discourse.
Well, Tejasvi Yadav's pledge on one government job for every household, translating to 1.3 crore jobs over 5 years. Now, this is in contrast to the NDA manifesto, which promises 1 crore government jobs and aims to create 1 crore women earning at least over $1,000. And for more, we're now being joined by Aditi Fadnis, senior journalist and contributing editor, Business Standard. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Now, we know that over 3.75 crore voters in Bihar will cast their ballots in the first phase of the assembly elections today, and we know that all eyes are going to be on this particular election because it's also the first election to be held in the state after the EC carried out the SIR exercise, but we know that also ran into a lot of controversy. Now, what can we expect?
So first, the data. The data tells us that 121 seats are being contested. Of these, the RJD as a party is the single largest. It's contesting the largest number of seats. Many of the other parties are fighting as allies. You have, I think, RJD is contesting 42, BJP is contesting 32, and other assorted parties are contesting, including JDU, which is in power at the moment in alliance with the BJP. So manifestos, as you say, have already been declared, and jobs is the single biggest issue in Bihar today. I traveled extensively in Bihar, in the areas around Patna, as well as in the areas around Mithilanchal, part of which is going to the polls today. Everywhere I found that there are young, aspirational. Bihar has the largest number of young people it's among the states which has the largest number of boys and girls who are between 18 and 25. So these are people who are looking for a future for themselves and are very keen to establish new areas of employment. So employment is, to my mind, the biggest issue in the election in Bihar.
Understood. Ms. Fadnis, it's been a 20-year rule for Nitish Kumar. Do you feel anti-incumbency is going to go in the Mahagathbandhan's favor to any extent?
I don't think so at all. Despite all the problems of implementation in Bihar, the state has seen great strides. And this is evident from all the data that is available in terms of growth and per capita income. It's a very interesting question because the subtext is always what Bihar was and what it has become and what it could be. The subtext in all the speeches The Prime Minister, the Home Minister have been to Bihar on several occasions. Everywhere, they have reminded the people of Bihar what it used to be during the 15-year regime of Lalu Prasad. Now, there is a granularity here which needs to be appreciated. Nitish Kumar has already been, as you say, in power for almost 20 years. His rule has led to a lot of change and a lot of improvement, and people really appreciate that. But people also remember the social justice plank that Lalu Yadav made popular, and also remember the 15 years of Jungle Raj, so-called Jungle Raj, that reigned during his period when there was no really real rule of law. This is something that BJP keeps reminding you of. The RJD of 20 years ago is not the RJD of today. Understandably, it can't be. Tejasvi Yadav is leading a new RJD with a new set of people, same caste base, but a new set of voters with new aspirations. But the BJP JDU keep reminding us that nothing has changed, only the faces have changed. The commitment to Sushasan or law and order, good governance, continues to remain with the BJP JDU.
Right, Ms. Farnes, and Tejasvi Yadav, who is Mahagathbandhan's main chief ministerial candidate, is contesting from Raghupur. Now, he has held the seat since 2015 and faces a tough challenge from BJP's Satish Kumar Yadav. How do you see this battle coming through?
I don't think he faces a tough challenge at all. I think it's going to be a walkover for him. Everywhere I went in Bihar, I found people telling me that while they don't support Lalu Prasad's brand of governance, they would like to give Tejasvi Yadav a chance. So there is some amount of residual affection, can I say, or even hope that Tejasvi Yadav represents. But whether that chance is going to be given in this election, I don't think that is going to happen. We are not in the business of prediction, but overall, the edge, even yesterday when I spoke to people on the phone from Bihar, told me that the edge seems to be in this round with the BJP JDU.
Understood. Ms. Fadnis, again, we'll stay clear of predictions at this point. It's just started. It's a long day to go ahead and another phase to follow on the 11th. So we'll wait and watch what comes next. Thanks so much for joining us here. That was Aditi Fadnis joining us here on the broadcast.
Thank you.
A former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has launched a fierce new attack on the country's army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir.
And has called him the most oppressive dictator in the country's history. Well, the statement comes as the government prepares to table the controversial Constitutional Amendment 27, which is widely seen as a move to consolidate military power.
Khan, who has been imprisoned since August of 2023 on multiple charges, expressed his defiance through a post on social media, accusing the military leader of being an unstable man. He stated that Asim Munir's rule is marked by unprecedented tyranny and that he would stop at nothing to maintain his power.
Imran Khan said that the tragedies of May 9, November 26 and Murid Ke are the worst examples of the blind use of power, referring to the killings of the party workers, allegedly in direct firing by security personnel in Islamabad and police crackdown on Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan in Murid Ke.
The jail leader also claimed his wife, Bushra Bibi, is being held in solitary confinement as part of a campaign to pressure him. He vowed that he will neither bow down nor submit to the army chief, Asim Munir.
Imran Khan's blistering attack against Asim Munir is set against the backdrop of the proposed 27th constitutional amendment. The Shehbaz Sharif-led government has sought support for the amendment, which reportedly includes changes to Article 243 concerning the command of the armed forces.
It plans to formalize the newly conferred Field Marshal rank and secure Asim Munir an extended, powerful term, constitutionally cementing the military's role in civilian governance.
All right, and moving on, the arguments in the Supreme Court on the legality of Trump's use of emergency law to impose global tariffs were completed on Wednesday.
The 9 U.S. Supreme Court justices will now decide on the case normally, and the top court takes months to make decisions. While President Trump has requested an expedited decision, it is unclear when the court will actually give out its ruling.
The line of questioning by the justices aligned more with the plaintiff's position. The line of questioning by the justices, as we've just discussed, since it aligned with the plaintiff's position, the prediction platforms are anything to go by. Bets are on Polymarket and Carl Free show very low market confidence in a Trump's win.
During the arguments, U.S. Solicitor General John Sawyer, representing Trump's administration, faced tough questions. Key justices also voiced doubts about the constitutionality of Trump's tariffs. Chief Justice John Roberts characterized tariffs as the core power of Congress since they amounted to the imposition of taxes on Americans. Justice Amy Coney Barrett questioned whether the argument on IEEPA phrasing was enough for Trump to impose tariffs. 3 conservative justices raised concerns about Trump's use of emergency law to collect billions of dollars in tariffs.
Justice Neil Gorsuch repeatedly raised concerns about the administration bypassing Congress's authority. Now, he said that raising of revenue is done through our elected representatives. The justice said that the constitutional assignment of the taxing power to Congress is really a key part of the context here. He also questioned the administration's claim that Congress had delegated its constitutional authority over tariffs to the president.
Trump appointed Justices Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett also asked skeptical questions. However, all 3 also probed arguments pressed by tariff opponents. Separately, lawyer Benjamin Gutman, arguing against Trump's tariffs, acknowledged that IEEPA could allow the president to cut off trade entirely with a country, to which Justice Brett Kavanaugh said that it is a bit unusual. A law would allow that, but not the more modest approach of imposing tariffs. Gutman responded that taxation was an inherently different authority.
Well, the word capacious was used at least 7 times in Wednesday's arguments. Sovereign Justice Gorsuch said the exact same sentence. Regulate is a capacious verb, and they were talking about the part of the IEEPA statute that defines presidential authority during emergencies, which says the president may regulate transactions involving foreign entities. Gorsuch also said the wording of the IEEPA statute is capacious and could be read as including tariff authority. Now, Merriam-Webster defines capacious as containing or capable of containing a great deal.
Justice Amy Barrett asked Neil Gatyal, the lawyer arguing on behalf of a group of private companies, what the consequences would be of invalidating Trump's tariffs. And Barrett asked, if you win, tell me how the reimbursement process would work. Would it be a complete mess? In response, Gatyal said there is precedent for refunds. The lawyer said that the burden of the refund process should not determine the outcome of the case. Gatyal added that the case was about the president's authority and not Trump's claims of disaster.
And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Take a look.
The Supreme Court heard arguments on whether President Donald Trump lawfully used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose sweeping tariffs on imports bypassing Congress. Justices were sharply critical, asking whether setting tariffs is truly an executive power or one reserved for Congress under the Constitution. The case challenges a core pillar of Trump's trade agenda and could reshape boundaries of presidential authority in trade policy. The court now moves to its internal conference, where justices vote and assign an opinion writer. The outcome may either strike down or significantly limit the president's tariff powers or uphold the administration's broad reading of the law. If the administration loses, it may need to unwind billions in collecting tariffs and shift to other legal authorities for trade action. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
German authorities have arrested 18 suspects in a major international crackdown on credit card fraud and money laundering networks.
Well, the fraud rings are accused of causing about $325 million in damages through bogus online subscriptions and fake websites. Now, the crackdown operation known as Chargeback is one of Europe's biggest actions against digital financial crime.
Germany's Federal Criminal Police Office and prosecutors said that the fraud networks used stolen credit card details from over 4.3 million people across 193 countries between 2016 and 2021. Investigators said criminals created dozens of fake streaming, dating and entertainment websites charging users for subscriptions that didn't exist. Authorities revealed that the fraudsters generated more than 19 million fraudulent subscription payments, laundering money through a complex web of companies and payment gateways. To process the payments, the suspects allegedly compromised 4 major German payment service providers, although police have not disclosed the names of these companies.
Well, coordinated raids took place across 9 countries, including Germany, Italy, Canada, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Singapore, Spain, the US and Cyprus. Authorities said in total 44 people are under investigation, including core members of the fraud rings, employees at payment firms and so-called crime-as-a-service providers who offered technical support to criminal operations. Now, prosecutors described the fraud scheme as a highly organized global operation that exploited digital payment systems to defraud customers and launder money at scale. Investigators said the arrest marked a major step forward in international cooperation against online financial crime. All right, now let's shift our focus to sports, where pacer Mohammad Shami might have played his last test match for India.
The veteran was not picked for the South Africa Test series despite proving his fitness in the country's premier domestic tournament, the Ranji Trophy. Wicketkeeper batter Rishabh Pant makes a comeback after recovering from injury. Now, Shami's last Test match was the World Test Championship final against Australia in 2023. What makes the decision surprising is Shami's recent domestic form. The fast bowler has taken 15 wickets in 3 Ranji Trophy matches. Shami was dismissed and claims about his fitness and said that the final decision rested with the selectors. The 35-year-old was also not included in the India A side that will face South Africa A in Bengaluru. It now appears that the Indian Cricket Board may be looking beyond Shami.
Now, India's vice-captain Rishabh Pant has returned to the side. The 28-year-old has been included in the 15-member squad after recovering from a toe fracture. Shubman Gill continues to lead the team. At the top of the order, India is set to continue with the left-right opening combination of Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul. Sai Sudarshan is expected to bat at number 3, followed by Gill and Pant in the middle order. Ravindra Jadeja headlines the spin department. Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj will lead India's pace attack. Bengal pacer Akashdeep has earned a recall after recovering from a shoulder injury. The opening match of the series will be played at Eden Gardens in Kolkata from November 14th.
And Hollywood's beloved and Oscar-winning actor Emma Stone turns 37 today.
Known for her versatility, wit and magnetic screen presence, Stone has carved a space for herself as one of the most admired stars in the industry.
She was born on the 6th of November 1988 in Arizona. The star began her career on television before making her film debut in 2007 with Superbad. Her comic timing and relatable charm quickly won over audiences and critics alike. She soon starred in a string of hits like Easy A, The Help and Crazy Stupid Love, showcasing her range and establishing herself as a leading lady of the 2010s. Her breakthrough performance in La La Land in 2016 won her the Academy Award for Best Actress. Stone continued to impress with films like The Favourite, Cruella and Poor Things, which earned her critical acclaim and another Oscar nomination.
In 2015, the 37-year-old faced backlash for a role in Aloha, where she played a character of part Asian descent. The casting choice sparked conversations about whitewashing in Hollywood, something that the actor later addressed and apologized for. Today, Emma Stone remains one of Hollywood's most respected talents.
All right, viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of World DNA. Thanks so much for tuning in. Short break now. Stay with us. News and updates continue on the other side. This is WION.
WION, India's global voice. The channel